The journey of self-development is a very lonely path, especially in today's world as a man. I'm going to tell you my experiences of dealing with loneliness every day for years, how I've overcome it and how you can. So, the natural cycle is that we go through school, we have people around us often, it's easy to make friends, and then you go into college, maybe it's with those same people, but you're still in an environment where you can socialize and meet new people. You go to university, you may be in a city, you may be around people, and it's much more natural to meet people in that way. But then, of course, you leave university or college and you're thrown into the big bad world. And even without a path of self-development, the world is more isolated than ever. People are spending more time indoors than ever, on screens, relying on these applications like dating apps and social media for communication. So people's communication skills in the real world are degrading over time. So there are many factors that play into it, but I saw a statistic that feelings of loneliness can be more harmful to health than smoking, which is wild. And I'm not here to throw statistics and facts and science at you right now. I'm here to tell you real life experiences that you can apply to your life. So the reason why self-development and working on yourself is especially lonely is because not everybody is on that path. Not everybody is going to support that path. You will find when you're on that path, you will lose friends. You will upset people. You will find yourself feeling lost, confused. And you will outgrow people. The people that you've grown up around and been friends with forever, they're not all going to be interested in quitting porn and quitting alcohol and getting in good shape and stopping into the pub every weekend. You have to find that within yourself if you want to become a better version of yourself. But of course, losing friends is difficult. And part of that journey, you're going to have to become comfortable with being alone, with your own thoughts, not relying on other people or company or external pleasures. You may have a girlfriend, you may have friends, you may have family, but that doesn't take away the fact that you will spend a lot of your life on your own. And where do you find friends as an adult, It's very difficult. It's much more natural in school or college or university. So, that leads to a lot of feelings of loneliness. And having ran an online business for 4.5 years, I can tell you that I have felt lonely nearly every single day at some point on that journey, and I'm going to tell you exactly how I've dealt with that. And the first thing I'm going to dive into is being alone. So I've traveled to Italy. I'm in Montenegro right now from the UK, and that just amplifies isolation and loneliness. People don't speak your language, you don't know anybody, you're on your own. So that forced me at a point to start writing about my experiences, pen to paper. And I've also done this on technology, whether it be a Word document on my laptop or my notes on my phone, just writing, and that helps you get down and out your thoughts without feeling like you're going crazy. Because if your thoughts are always in your head, and if you tend to overthink a lot, or if you're anxious like me, which you probably are if you spend a lot of time alone, getting it out is so beneficial. So my diary started as a daily diary, and I'd recommend that because it's a good starting point, because you don't have to put too much thought into it. You can write at the end of each day what you've done with your day. Simply, start to finish, what you've done. And that way you can get used to writing without feeling like you have to have some specific structure or specific questions or specific introspection into yourself. So I recommend the daily diary first of all, and also it's a tangible diary of your growth and life that you can look back at any point and be taken back to a certain moment or a certain time and see how far you've come or how low you've been. So diary is the first thing, and that is one of the biggest things to help with being comfortable alone. Secondly, friends don't have to be in person. And I would say I've found more value from friends that I've met online, more growth, more inspiration, than I have friends in person. And one online connection can be more beneficial to you and your growth and your well-being than 10 of the wrong in-person connections. For example, when I started my vintage clothing business, very, very lonely, the first time I had an online business, the first time I wasn't working around people. So I networked online and I started messaging pages that were similar to mine, so other vintage clothing businesses. And it took some time, to find people that I really did get on with. And it's a case of numbers, The more people you message, the more likely you are to find the connections that work for you. So I put myself out there, messaging people, networking, and now two of my closest friends, Frankie and Callum, we still speak almost every day, and we've all gone through this self-development, lonely journey of online business and personal growth, and now I'm still selling vintage clothing, but steering more towards a fitness and personal business perspective, and they've done the same. So it's interesting, you meet these people, you grow with them, you inspire each other, you influence each other. So moving on to the next way that I deal with loneliness, and not everybody may be comfortable with this, but I can tell you it does help. If you have social media, if you have Instagram, if you have Snapchat, Facebook, start to document your life more. And I'm not saying put together these crazy edits or daily vlogs or day in the lives, but just simply start to post your thoughts on there. If you have a thought that could be interesting to somebody else, or a thought that's even interesting to just you, just take a video, talk, put it on your story. You might not have a big following, I don't, but I put it on there to friends, to family, and usually at least one person resonates with something, and you will find a response back, which of course is some form of connection. And online connections, FaceTimes, messaging, they may not have the exact impact that an in-person interaction does, but the truth is we're in a digital world, we're more isolated than ever, there are more remote working jobs than ever, we're not leaving the house as much, so we're always going to feel them feelings of loneliness. So even though the online connections might not hit the exact same, there's still something, and they will change your life if you're feeling so lonely all of the time. So start to put some thoughts on your social media, even if it's just a photo and you write the things that you're thinking, or you film yourself doing an exercise, or anything. Just start documenting some things, and it can help you feel less lonely. Another thing to help you feel less lonely is reach out to people regularly. Whether it be your girlfriend or your parents or friends, check in with a phone call. You will be surprised. People are probably happy to hear from you, and people appreciate when you think about them. And if you're going to spend most of your days on your own, then you need to be talking to someone at some point, because you will get to a point where you spend so much time on your own that it affects other parts of your life. For example, if I go a full day, my girlfriend's in a different country right now. We're in a temporarily long-distance relationship. So the only communication that we do have is FaceTime, which I'm very blessed for, We're very fortunate to be able to connect with people in different parts of the world. But if I go a full day without speaking to anybody on the outside, whether it be friends, whether it be the person that's serving me coffee, whether it be my parents, that affects my relationship. Because if I speak to my girlfriend later that day and I've been starved of any connection all day, there's a good chance that I've spent that day overthinking, over analysing things, and burning myself out mentally. So it's so important to speak to people, whether it be on the phone, whether it be in person. That moves on to the next point, which is related. Make an effort to speak to people. So I'm in Montenegro, and I haven't been doing it as much because they speak Serbian here, and I'm not too interested in learning Serbian. When I'm in Italy and I stay there for 3 months at a time, I can speak decent conversational Italian, so I can speak to people every day, but that was very lonely at first. But when I'm in the UK, I definitely make an effort to speak to people in person. And it's so beneficial when you're spending so much time alone and you feel so lonely. For example, going to the coffee shop and speak to the person serving you coffee. Just doing that for me every day. I went to the same coffee shop. I chose one that was quite quiet so it wasn't so intense, but I went into the same coffee shop every day for a long time. I spoke to the woman that worked there, and over time we had more and more conversations. She started to give me free coffee. It was an outlet for both of us. And the interesting thing is, even though she is in a coffee shop working every day, a social environment, she's seen people, she still felt lonely. And she still benefited from that connection of me going in every day and just talking about what had been going on in our lives. You know, self-development or not, we're so lonely as a world right now. So it's beneficial for every single person involved. And what else can I tell you about loneliness? As I told you, if you pick any single one of those things and actually stick to it, then you will start to feel less lonely. And I'm not saying that it's going to eliminate it 100%, and I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, but you know, like, we can't deny or argue with the fact that we are more lonely and isolated than ever, and we are going to have to do things that challenge us. Your communication skills might not be excellent. You might feel nervous talking to random people. You might feel nervous reaching out to people online, but it's a skill that needs to be practiced. And, you know, people think confidence is a mindset, but confidence is developed through your competency in an area, you know? Like, I'm confident exercising because I've practiced it, not because I've sat there and thought about it and, like, visioned myself doing it well. You have to practice things. I'm confident speaking to people because I've practiced it, you know? It's not easy the first time that you do it, but start small. For example, if you're going to message somebody online and try and network, find somebody that does a similar thing to you and follow them, follow multiple of them, start replying to their stories. If you see anything interesting, you know, it has to be genuine. Maybe they post a tip or a part of their life, or they have a hobby that you resonate with. Find something genuine. Start to reply to that. Build up connections. If you're nervous about making a conversation with someone in person, start so small, you know? Ask how they are. Build it from that. If I can give you tips on communicating with people in person, I would say start so simple and you will be so surprised. For example, ask someone how their day is. Ask somebody why they are doing the job they are. Ask somebody if they have anything planned for the weekend, if they did anything at the weekend. These little questions like sound so basic and simple, and you might think communication has to be so complicated and complex and you have to have these wild questions and conversational techniques, but if you start simply, it opens up conversations. Like, ask open questions. It just opens so much, and you will really surprise yourself. I told my girlfriend recently a couple of these questions, like, oh, what brought you to Italy? Like, oh, why are you studying that? Do you enjoy it? And she used these in conversations and said it was so beneficial for her. And she didn't realize people would open up so easy from such simple questions. So I'm definitely going to make more videos on loneliness because I think it's something that everybody is struggling with, but yeah, I will keep putting out as much value as I can on the things that have helped me. And the last thing I'm going to leave you with about loneliness and dealing with it is having an online coach or a mentor. So a coach or a mentor, whether it be business or fitness, can help you if you don't know what you're doing, but it especially helps with the lonely aspect of being on your own on a self-development journey, growing a business, because you have somebody there that not only knows what you need to do to succeed, but they have your best interests at heart, and they're there for accountability, for motivation, to check in, for a regular conversation. And part of me thinks, yeah, maybe it does suck that you have to pay somebody to be that person in your life these days, and you can't get that for free from people so easily, but so be it. If you have to pay a few £100 every month for somebody to help with your feelings of loneliness, for somebody to motivate you, for somebody to push you, to inspire you, to be able to learn from, then that is one of the most beneficial investments that you will ever make. Because, as I said, feelings of loneliness can be more harmful to health than smoking, you know? So if you can take away those feelings of loneliness, it's a huge, huge investment. And with risk of saying something that isn't so useful, I think I've said the most useful things that I can possibly imagine and the things that I do every single day to help with my feelings of loneliness. So thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.